Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Hope you are all doing well. Here is Mariam Shref, a senior petroleum engineering student at the Lebanese American University, and I would like to welcome you to our second lecture of the course titled Having Fun Learning English Grammar, presented by a special guest speaker, Dr. Mary Jeanette Ebenhack. I hope you have been enjoying this course, and for those who missed previous lecture, it has been recorded and uploaded on my Address to YouTube channel. And please don't forget to join Google Classroom and submit the assigned quizzes on time. But without submitting quizzes and the final exam, you won't be able to get your certificate. Now, let me begin by introducing Dr. Ebenhack. Dr. Ebenhack retired in 2012, having worked for many years as a nonprofit administrator and a religious educator. She holds degrees in ministry and religious education from the School of Theology, Claremont and Princeton Theological Seminary. Prior to retirement, she served as the president and the chief executive officer for Ahead Energy, a nonprofit focused on assisting African schools and medical facilities to harness local energy resources to meet daily needs. She has been fortunate to travel widely and work with international students in various locales. With minor in journalism from Macpherson College, she has enjoyed writing books, articles, and editing publications. Dr. Ebenhack has been involved in volunteer work everywhere she has lived, including Modesto, California, Fullerton, California, Bridgewater, Virginia, Ithaca, New York, Rochester, New York, and Marietta, Ohio, where she currently resides. Presently, Dr. Ebenhack is active in cultivating interfaith relations. Now, please join me in welcoming Dr. Ebenhack. So welcome, Doctor, and thank you for joining us this morning. We are a pleasure to have you with us today. And on a final note, if you have any question related to the presentation, please feel free to drop it down in the Q&A section. Now, without any further ado, Dr. Ebenhack, the mic is yours.
Thank you very much, Miriam. It's a great honor to be addressing this widespread audience. So let's have a little fun learning English grammar. I am a citizen of the United States of America. I live in Marietta, Ohio, and I'm coming to you today from Marietta College, where the Pio Petro program is established. And what I told people in the first session, hopefully, you've all taken a look at the first session, is that, I really have no business teaching English grammar to an international audience. I don't have a degree in English or English grammar. I've never taught an English grammar class before, but here I am. Here you have who I am. And my qualifications basically are I've been speaking English for all of my life and writing it somewhat well, I guess, because I've had a number of publications. So those of you who were at the first session, welcome back. And those of you who are joining us for the first time, welcome. One of the things that we talked about in our first session is that English is not an easy language to learn. There's quite a few reasons for that. One of them is that the English language is changing all the time. The English that was spoken 500 years ago is not what we speak today. And when people try to read Elizabethan English, it's almost like learning a new language. So new words are being added to the English language all the time. We talked about how almost every grammar rule has its exceptions in English, so that makes it difficult. And finally, one of the things we talked about in our first session was that we need to have realistic expectations about what we can really do on a 4-hour class using Zoom. There's something called the 10,000 hour rule, which says that in order to master a skill, it takes 10,000 hours. That equates to 90 minutes a day for 20 years. So if you have not perfected your English yet, give it some time. It takes 10,000 hours before you get really good at it. There's an astronomy professor here at Marietta College who told me once that if you want to see a kind of a dim star, you look to the side of it. You don't look directly at it. And that's what we're trying to do in this class called Having Fun with English Grammar. We're trying to have a little fun and learn some English grammar at the same time. It's kind of like tuning a guitar or a violin. We're trying to listen to it so that we can hear when it's not quite right, or we can hear when it is right. So in the first session, I talked about nouns, singular and plural, proper nouns, and abstract nouns. And actually, we didn't get all the way through that session, so I'm going to continue just a little bit with nouns today. And besides that, we'll also look at adjectives, pronouns, articles, verbs, and adverbs. And we might not get through all that, but that's the plan for today. So just reviewing a little bit about nouns. We're talking about plural nouns then, and here's the good news that I wanted to share with you. If you use spell checker to do your writing, you don't have to be overly concerned about whether you are spelling a plural noun correctly, because spell checker will catch misspelled plural nouns. If you don't know how to make a noun plural, just write it in, put an S on the end, and then your spell checker should catch it, and you can learn that way how to write plural nouns. But let's take a look now at some odd, irregular nouns. And as I said last time, I'm using some books by Brian P. Cleary to help us in our learning. And this particular verse here from his is from Brian P. Cleary's book, Feet and Puppies, Thieves and Guppies, What Are Irregular Plurals? And by the way, after the first session, I did send out a list of all of Brian P. Cleary's books, along with URLs. You can see each of his books read by an English speaker on YouTube. And I highly recommend that you do this. They're just charming books that give you a lot of good information about English grammar. So let's talk a little bit about nouns that change the vowels when they are plural. And just a reminder, what are vowels? Well, vowels in English are the letters A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. So every word has a vowel in it. So sometimes plurals change the vowels, like tooth becoming teeth, like man to men, or mouse to mice, or goose becoming geese. So let's take a look at some other plurals that change the vowel when they are some nouns that change the vowel when they are pluralized. So we have the word foot, and the plural is feet, so the O's change to E's. Woman in the singular becomes woman in the plural. Louse, which is a little tiny animal that gets into my goat's fur, is lice in the plural. Here's a little question for you. In English, do we say toothbrush or teeth brush? Seems like it should be teeth brush, but you know, as I said, English is kind of a crazy little language, and it's toothbrush. So besides nouns that, just kind of really change when they are pluralized, there are certain nouns that do not change at all. As Brian P. Cleary says, certain nouns, when plural, always stay the same throughout, like deer and moose and bison, sheep and salmon, swine and trout. Okay, so you can have one sheep or you can have 101 sheep. Same with deer, moose, and bison. So let's look at a few other examples. Aircraft is one of those nouns in English that does not change. So you can have one aircraft or you can have 20 aircraft. Another one would be information. So I also had a scissors up there. So you can have one scissors or 25 scissors. Information, you can have one piece of information or you can have much information. Doesn't change how you spell that noun. Scenery, you can have a lot of scenery or just be looking at one scene. It doesn't change. Offspring, a person can have one offspring. That means like a son or a daughter, or they can have 25 offspring. Doesn't change. And headquarters is another one of those nouns that is the same, whether it's singular or plural. So the headquarters of our company is here in Marietta, Ohio, or the headquarters for Exxon are found throughout the world. I also put jeans and pants up there. Somebody said that jeans, pants, and trousers are singular on top, but plural on the bottom. The reason this doesn't, jeans, pants, and trousers don't follow this do not change rule exactly is because we usually say a pair of pants, a pair of jeans, a pair of trousers. Okay. Then we have some nouns that are just odd in the plural form. Brian P. Cleary says others seems they had no rules when the language people devised them, like child becoming children. We just have to memorize them. So here's a few more examples. Usually person is used only in the singular and the plural is people. But here's the little caveat on that. There are times, particularly in legal situations, where you may say persons if you are referring to individual persons. So, but most of the time, if you're speaking in the plural, you're going to say people. Here's another one, quiz. In the plural is quizzes. It's the only noun I know that doubles the Z at the end. Ox become oxen. Index, indices. Appendix, appendices. I want to talk about these last two just a little bit. There are a lot of words that are in the English language that come from Latin or Greek, and you find a lot of these within academia and the sciences. So these last two words, index and appendix, come from the Latin, and so they derive their plural form from how plurals are formed in Latin. So because I think we have a somewhat academic audience, I'm going to just give you a few more examples of things you'll run into. A syllabus, that is the outline of the class, if it is plural, would be syllabi. Thesis, like a thesis you would write for your master's or PhD degree, in the plural form is theses with an E. The I's changes to E. Phenomenon changes in the plural to phenomena. And crisis like we're having with the COVID pandemic changes to crises. So again, use your spell checker on these kind of things because they're difficult. They're difficult for English-speaking people. A lot of people that I know here in the United States get these plurals wrong. Oh, curriculum, sorry, and curricula is another example. So I want to read you a little funny plural poem, and this is where my moderator could really come in handy. I don't know whether we have her. She's already there. So okay, I'm going to try really quick to get our moderator on board. There she is. So Ahmed, you want to, I said promote to panelist?
Yes.
So Miriam, if you are there, please put your video camera on.
Just you need to add her as a panelist first.
Yeah.
Keep trying, keep doing this. Yes, so she went there. The other side.
Just as one. Okay.
She's still there or not?
I don't
Okay,
think so.
okay. Click the participant again.
Oh, she's there.
Yes.
Okay, Miriam, if you're there, there you are. Okay, great. So glad to have you with us. So I'm going to put you on the spot, Miriam. So please take off your mute because I'm going to be asking you some questions. And if you can turn your camera on too. There she is. So nice to see you this morning.
Nice to see you too.
Okay,
Thank you.
great. So I'm going to ask you to fill in these blanks. And on the side here, you have a few words to help you if you want. So we'll begin with a box. And the plural should be is what?
Boxes, E-S.
B-O-X-E-S, boxes. But the plural of ox, which rhymes with box, should be what, Miriam?
Boxes.
Oxen, not oxes. One fowl is a goose, but two are called?
Geese.
Right. Yet the plural of moose that rhymes with goose should never be meese. You might find a lone mouse or a whole set of
Mice.
mice. Yet the plural of house is houses, not mice. And next, if I speak of a foot and you show me your
Feet.
feet and I give you a boot, would a pair be called beat?
No, boots.
Yeah. If one is a tooth and a whole set are teeth, why should not the plural of booths be called beasts? Booths. If one may be that and three would be
These or those.
those, yet hat in the plural wouldn't be hose, despite that it rhymes with that. And the plural of cat is
Cat.
and not coats. We speak of a brother and also of
Brothers.
brethren. That's an old word. You know, you really don't hear that very much in English, but it is a word that you may run into, brothers or brethren. But though we say mother, we never say metheren. The plural of man is always called
Men.
Why shouldn't the plural of pan be called pen? Pans. So English, I fancy you all will agree, is the funniest language you ever did see. Okay, so let's stop for a little bit and just take a little quiz. And take a few minutes and tell me which of the following nouns are singular. That means only one. Is it dress, people, kiss, or mice. And just a heads up, there might be more than one. So dress, people, kiss, or mice. Question 2. Which of the following are plural nouns? That means 2 or more. Socks, jobs, his, or curricula. Right? And true or false? The plural of information is informations. True or false? The plural of woman is womans. True or false? The plural of photo is photos. This kind of goes back to the first session that we had. The plural of baby is babies. Again, hopefully you saw the first session in order to answer that. The plural of calf is calves. And the plural of monkeys is monkeys, monkies. Okay, how are we doing here? I think we're really coming along here, so I'll give you just 30 more seconds to. All right, let's take a look. So, quiz 1. The following are singular nouns. So dress and kiss, even though they end with an S, which is usually what we use to make a noun plural, those are singular. People is plural and mice is plural. Question 2. Which of the following are plural? Socks is plural. And curricula is plural. And jobs. Socks, jobs, and curricula are all plural. His, no. Even though it ends with an S, it's not plural. In fact, it's not even a noun. Okay. True or false? The plural of information is informations. That is false. Information is one of those abstract nouns that is the same whether it's singular or plural. The plural of woman is womans. Nope, it's women. Okay, so that's false. The plural of photo is photos. That's correct, yes. What we learned last time is that sometimes nouns that end in O take an ES, but photos is one of those that just takes an S. The plural of baby is babies with a YS. What do you think about that one, Miriam? Is that true or false?
No, yeah, it should end with IES.
Exactly. Babies is one of those words that ends with IES. The plural of calf is calves. True. The plural of monkey is monkeys. What do you think, Miriam?
It's false. We should only add an F.
Right. Yes. It's monkeys. Plural is MONKEYS. Okay. Excellent. So I'm not going to take time to look at all your answers, but my guess is you did pretty well on that. So we are moving on to adjectives. This is another part of English speech. And an adjective is a word that describes a noun. So we're still kind of working with nouns here, but we're working with those descriptors of nouns. So, and just to remind you, a noun is a living being, a place, a thing, or an idea. So, in his book, Hairy, Scary, and Ordinary, What is an Adjective? Brian Cleary writes, adjectives are words like hairy, scary, cool, and ordinary. They describe like tan and tall, fun and frisky, smooth and small. They tell us of things that are orange or green, hot or cold, or in between. They tell us of an old black boot, a rainy day, a wrinkled suit, a silly teacher, giant hair, a large cow at the local fair. Adjectives help tell us more, like narrow streets or favorite store. Cold, dark mornings, hot pink shades. Young girls drinking lemonades. Lopsided, one-sided ball games that bore us. The sweet, gentle sounds that descend from the chorus. Mighty blue oceans and tiny red rings. Adjectives tell us all of these things. So we have this little cartoon with one guy sitting in a movie theater saying, "Interesting film." And his companion says, "Interesting. It's fascinating, riveting, engrossing, captivating, gripping." So those are all adjectives. I think I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I think you've got it. So I'd like you to take out a piece of paper now and jot down, and Miriam, I'm going to be calling on you, so make sure that you do this exercise. I'd like you to write down an adjective that describes a person. So think of a person in your mind, and what's one thing that you could say about this person? Tall, fat, short, whatever, something that describes a person. Number 2, think of a place, any place. It can be your hometown, it can be the room that you're sitting in, whatever, a place. And think of an adjective that describes that place. What can you say about that place? Now think of a thing, something that's in front of you, whatever, something that you can see, and put down an adjective that describes that thing. Now let's do an adjective that describes another place. And now an adjective that describes more than one person, people, a crowd. Number 6, an adjective that describes an action, something that you do. So think of something that you do and add an adjective, a descriptor to what you do. 7, think of another thing and an adjective to go along with that. Then an adjective to describe a condition. And I thought this might be a little difficult, so I want to give you a couple of conditions. Might be like sick, happy, suffering, boring, something like that. So very sick or extremely suffering or something like that. Number 9, think of a piece of clothing and an adjective to go along with that. 10, think of somebody you know, another person or somebody you know of, and an adjective to go along with that person. And then the last one is an adjective that describes something outstanding. And what I'm talking about here is, like a space flight or an Olympic event or something that's just really outstanding. A mountain, a majestic mountain. Majestic might be the adjective you want to, or a great concert or something. So an adjective that describes something great or outstanding. Okay, so let's use this, what's called a Mad Lib. So, Miriam, here we go. So, I am a really what baseball player?
Good Baseball player, we can say.
Okay, was this good? Was good your first adjective that you put down?
No, I used loyal.
Loyal. Okay, I want you to use the ones that you put down because it's funnier if you don't know what the meaning of the sentence is. So I'm a really loyal baseball player. I love hanging out in the what dugout?
I used wonderful.
Wonderful dugout. That's great. And catching the what ball?
The big ball.
The big ball. Mm-hmm. However, I might even be a better soccer player. I enjoy running up and down the, or would you have to remember?
The fantastic.
The fantastic field with all of my what teammates?
Famous.
Famous teammates. Very good. When I play football, everyone wants me on their team. Every time I score a touchdown, I do a what kind of dance?
A quick dance.
A quick dance, okay. Hockey isn't my specialty because it's hard to skate on the
I chose rounded.
rounded ice. It is very hard to skate on rounded ice, yes. Basketball is a
Serious sport.
serious sport. When I put on my
Stylish.
what
Stylish.
stylish tennis shoes, I am faster than anyone else on the court. If you ever need a
Funny player.
funny player on your team, give me a call because I'm a
Charming.
charming athlete. Excellent. Well, I hope you all can take some time to put in your own descriptors, your own adjectives in this funny story, and I hope you had a little fun with it. Okay, so we are going to move on to pronouns. And I love this little cartoon that you see on your screen that says pronouns. We haven't even done amateur nouns yet. So Miriam, tell me, why is this cartoon funny? They say that, you've really mastered a language if you can understand its humor. So do you understand what's humorous about this cartoon?
You haven't done. No, actually.
Okay. All right. If you don't get it, probably other people don't either. Okay. Let's go back and say, a pronoun is a word that takes the place of a noun. And obviously this little boy doesn't understand that because he's probably someone who lives in a state like I do in Ohio, which is all about sports and amateur sports and pro sports. So he's saying pronouns as if they're, the pros and amateur. So anyway, it's funny if you know English. So Brian P. Cleary has a book about pronouns called I and You, and don't forget who. What is a pronoun? And he says he is a pronoun, she is a pronoun, even little old me is a pronoun. So is I, so is you. Whom and they and we and who. Just like a substitute teacher teaches your class when she is asked to fill in for your teacher, a pronoun steps in as a sub for a noun, becoming the star of the feature. So let's take a look at this sentence here. It says, Anne's father surprised Anne and bought Anne a sporty new truck. Anne got so excited that when Anne first saw it, Anne couldn't believe Anne's good luck. So this sentence, we would say, needs a few pronouns. So let's go back over it. And Miriam, I'm calling on you again. First of all, we say Anne's father surprised. What could a pronoun be instead of Anne there?
Her. Surprised her.
Surprised her and bought
Bought her a sporty new truck.
Exactly. Anne got so excited that when
She got so excited
that
when she first saw it, she couldn't believe her good luck.
Exactly. Perfect. Yes. So we substituted her and she to for Anne. So that's what pronouns are all about. Personal pronouns. Personal pronouns stand in for a noun like Mrs. McKinley or Grady. He could be Stephen. I might be Josh. They could be Bonnie and Brady. So, in English, as in many other languages, we talk about the first person, which is I and we, if it's singular and plural. Second person, you. Third person, he, she, and it, and in the plural, the they. So these are the pronouns that are used in place of nouns when we're talking about subjects. Possessive pronouns. Sometimes a pronoun is very possessive. This cookie is mine, it's not hers. So on the right of your screen, you have a nice little graphic that talks about the possessive pronouns. So I, and the possessive would be my, that is my apple, or the apple is mine. When you're talking about you, the person that you're addressing, these are your flowers. The flowers are yours. And by the way, that could be either a single you or multiple yous. When we're talking about he, she, or it, let's do he first. Jacques is his dog. The dog is his. That box is her present. The present is hers. I'm going to skip it because I'm coming back to that. In the plural, we, this is our house. The house is ours. And when we're talking about they, that is their house. The house is theirs. Okay, back up to the it. Why did I skip that? This little graphic uses the sentence, the cat is sitting on its tree house. I have a problem with that sentence. I appreciate this little graphic, but I think this is an incorrect sentence. Why? Because every noun, which is a living being, is either masculine or feminine. So I actually have 3 cats, and sometimes I have children or foreign people over to my house, and all 3 of my cats are male. Because they're so cuddly and furry and just charming, a lot of times they get referred to as he or his or him. And that kind of just grates on me because I know those cats are male. So I think this sentence should say, the cat is sitting on his treehouse. And I'm thinking that, you know, if you don't know the gender of an animal, for instance, let's take whales. Let's say the baby whale stays close to his mother. It might be a female whale, but we really don't know. In English, as in many languages coming out of patriarchal cultures, the default is to use the masculine. If you're a feminist, you know, you might want to just make your default a feminine, but it certainly isn't its. Now, there is a way that I have found that if you don't know the gender of something like the baby whale, you could, instead of saying the baby whale stays close to his mother, you could say baby whales stay close to their mothers. So pluralize the noun And that way, theirs, can refer to male or female. That's probably as clear as mud. Okay, there's something called demonstrative pronouns, and Brian Cleary says demonstrative pronouns help point something out, as in this, these, and those are all yours. So over on the right, we have something that is near. When we're talking about just one, we say this is an orange. Or if it's further away, that is an orange. And in plural, there's more than one orange. If it's near, we say these are oranges. Or if it's further away, those are oranges. So not the easiest thing to grasp. And I don't expect you to get it all at once, but there it is. Then there's something called indefinite pronouns. Indefinite pronouns tell about people and things without being specific. As in, someone around here is quite a good cook, and something in here smells terrific. Nothing and all are indefinite too. So are anyone, no one, or any. Everyone, none, several, somebody, some, both, neither, nobody, and many. Okay, so again, over on the right, we have a graphic that I find very helpful. So on the first column, these are what we call prefixes, any, no, some, and every. When applied to people, we get anyone or anybody, no one or nobody, someone or somebody, or everyone and everybody. So these are all indefinite pronouns. We're not being very specific, we're indefinite. When it comes to things, we have anything, nothing, something, everything. When we're talking about places, the indefinite pronouns are anywhere, nowhere, somewhere, or everywhere. And if we're talking about time, it's anytime, no time, sometime, and every time. Just a quick comment, you very rarely hear anybody talk about no time. And also, sometime can either be two words or one. And the rules for that is if you can put quite in front of sometime, it's two words. But anyway, you will see it most of the time as a single word. This one, however, every time is always, every time it is two words. Interrogative pronouns. It helps form a question. If it helps form a question, it's called interrogative, a very inquisitive pronoun. What are you looking at? Who is your daddy? Which road do we take to the hoedown? So interrogative comes from the word interrogate, which means to question. So if you're forming a question, these are some of the pronouns you will use. Who, whom, whose, which, and what. Now, here's a little part of English grammar that trips up a lot of people. When do we use who versus when do we use whom? So, who can replace words like he, she, and I. It's a pronoun that's constantly doing. Who ordered pizza? Who spilled the popcorn? Who started the audience booing? So we can kind of then, answer that question by saying, he ordered pizza, she spilled the popcorn, I started the audience booing. So you see how that works. Now, whom, with the M at the end, takes the place of them, him, and her, and the action is being done to it. With whom am I speaking? In whom can I trust? To whom would you like me to glue it? So I love this little graphic over on the right-hand side of your screen. Who threw the frog on my head? Isn't that little kid cute? As opposed to the frog was thrown by whom? So again, that will trip a lot of people up, even first language English speakers. But if you check out the prepositions in whom, with whom, to whom, by whom, if that is part of the sentence, it's probably whom rather than who. So what is a pronoun? Like a pinch hitter or a good babysitter, the pronoun will say, you can go, noun. I have your job covered. Aren't you glad you've discovered the helpful and practical pronoun? Okay, so let's take another little quiz here. And let me get it set up here and launch it. So the first question on our quiz, and by the way, these quizzes don't count for your certificate or anything. These are just learning quizzes. So if you make a mistake, don't sweat it. I will never see the results of your quiz. So number one, which sentence below is correct? A, who should I send the check to? Or, to whom should I send the check? So which one of those is correct? Number two, which sentence is correct? That is mine apple, or that is my apple? Okay, number three, which of these sentences is correct? That is her, oh, which of these sentences is probably correct? That is her dress and purse, or that is his dress and purse? And then back to an adjective question. Which of the following words is an adjective? Boat, we, pretty, or people? Just one of those is an adjective. And number five, besides this, that, and those, what is another demonstrative pronoun? And the choices are these, the, than, or then. Okay, I'll just give you another 30 seconds to log in your answers, and then we'll go over them with Miriam. Okay. So, Miriam, which of those two sentences is correct?
To whom should I send the check?
Exactly. To whom should I send the check? Okay. Which of the sentences in number two is correct?
That is my apple.
My apple. Right. Three.
Three, it's that is her dress and purse.
Yeah, that is her dress and purse. We assume sometimes in this world it might be a his, but most likely it's a her. And number four.
The adjective is pretty.
Pretty, exactly. Boat is a noun, we is a pronoun, and people is another noun. So pretty is the adjective. And number five.
It's A, these.
Yes, these. This, that, those, and these. The is an article. We're going to talk about articles in just a minute. and the others are not pronouns. Okay, very good. So as promised, we're going to talk about articles. And an article is a word used before a noun. So we're still dealing with the whole noun thing. A word used before a noun to show whether it is specific or not. And I think this is what makes English difficult for some speakers of other languages, because you don't have articles that in some other language that are determining whether a noun is specific or not. And one of the reasons I really wanted to work on articles with you is that my husband, who is a professor here at Marietta College, even in professional journals, finds people making mistakes with articles. So it's something that is difficult for people new to speaking English. So let's see if we can learn a little bit about articles. So, Miriam, I'm going to put you really on the spot a lot here now. Is this sentence correct? The mailman put the letter in the mailbox.
The mailman put a letter in the mailbox.
We could say that. That would be correct. But it is also correct to say the mailman, a specific mailman, put the letter, a specific letter, in the mailbox, a specific mailbox. So that sentence is correct. How about this one, Miriam? The mailmen put the letters in the mailboxes.
No, I don't think it is.
Actually, that is correct. The article the can be used either with the singular or plural. So it is correct to say the mailmen, their specific, mailmen, put the letters, yes, specific letters, in the mailboxes. Yes, we have specific mailboxes that they put the letters in. So both of those sentences are correct. How about this one? A mailman put a letter in a mailbox. Miriam?
Here, the mailman is not specific, nor the letter, nor the mailbox. So it could be a choice, but so I don't think there's a right or a wrong in this one.
This sentence, just as it stands, is a correct sentence. The difference between the first sentence and the second sentence is that the first sentence, we're talking about a specific mailman. But in the third sentence, it's not a specific. So the difference between the and a or an is specificity. Specificity. I cannot. Being specific. Okay, another one. Miriam. An old mailman put an important letter in an abandoned mailbox. Is that sentence correct?
It is, but it's not specific also.
Exactly, it's not specific. But what's the difference here, Miriam, between a mailman put a letter in a mailbox and an old mailman put an important letter in an abandoned mailbox? What's the difference?
We used an instead of a.
Yeah, why?
Because of, like, we have vowels and.
Exactly. So we added some adjectives. We said it was an old mailman, an important letter, and an abandoned mailbox. And each of those adjectives starts with a vowel. And remember what vowels are: A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. So the rule is that if you add an adjective to a noun, the article has to agree with the adjective, because the adjective is always in front of the noun. So it's an old mailman, because old starts with a vowel. Same thing with an important letter. Important starts with a vowel. And an abandoned mailbox. Again, abandoned starts with a vowel. So just to also be clear, consonants are the letters other than A, E, I, and O, U. So Miriam, again, is this sentence correct? Mailmen put letters in mailboxes?
Yes, it could be.
Yes. Okay, so this is why articles are very confusing. Sometimes you use the, sometimes you use a, sometimes you use an. In this case, we're not using any articles. Why? Why do you think we're not using any articles here, Miriam?
Here we're trying to generalize, I think.
Yeah. Actually, it's because mailman is plural, letters is plural, and mailboxes are plural. So we can, if we're using plural nouns many times, it does not take an article. How about this one? Mailman put letter in mailbox.
No, I think it's incorrect because we have it's singular, not plural as the one before.
Exactly. You know, a lot of times, especially students from the Far East, because I'm not sure about this, but my thinking is they probably don't have articles in their language. I'll hear the sentences like this: mailman put letter in mailbox. Well, you know what they're saying, but it isn't correct English. Okay. How about this one, Miriam? A mailman put a letters in a mailboxes.
No, it's not a mailman because it's plural, so that one is not correct. Put a letter is also no.
Right.
Okay. A is for singular.
Exactly. A is for a singular noun. So we could say the mailman put the letters in the mailboxes, but we cannot say a mailman put a letters in a mailboxes. Absolutely incorrect. How about this one? An mailman put an letter in an mailbox.
No, it's incorrect because an, mailman, M is not a vowel, so we can use a.
Okay, so this is just a review that an is used when it's in front of a vowel. Okay, now getting a little more dicey here. An upbeat mailman put an urgent letter in an unbreakable mailbox. Is that sentence correct, Miriam?
It's correct.
It is, yes. So we have vowels: upbeat, urgent, unbreakable, and so we're using an. We say an is in front of vowels. But how about this sentence? A uniformed mailman put a utility bill in a unique mailbox. Is that sentence correct?
It is correct.
It is correct. Why is it correct? Well, actually, it's because the rule is not so much using an or a in the front of a vowel or a consonant. It's using an or a in front of a noun that sounds like a vowel or a consonant. So a sounds like uniform sounds like you as in you or ewe or yew. And that is the Y sound, not the of upbeat, urgent, or unbreakable. Same with utility. It sounds like you, and unique is like that too. So here's a few other subjects that we could put into this sentence that take a and not an. A unicorn, a union member, a usurper, a eunuch. You'll notice that most of these nouns that take a instead of an start with a U, but there are some that start with E and some even that start with one. So if we're talking about things, it could be a euro, a utensil, a university. And let me just stress this, because this is one of the nouns that we see a lot that is, the article is incorrect. It is not an university. It is a university. A ukulele, a ewe, which is a female sheep, a unicycle, a euchre game, a onesie, those little things that babies wear. Okay, so here is noun that begins with O, a vowel, but it sounds like w, 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 as in W. So that's why it's a onesie. A eucalyptus tree, a UFO, and a unit of something. In terms of adjectives, universal, one of a kind, usable, utilitarian, a Ukrainian, a European. So here, European is not sounding like you, it's sounding like your, but again, that's a consonant sound. So we use a European, a Ukrainian. Okay. Miriam, back to you. A happy mailman put a huge letter in a homemade mailbox. Is that sentence correct?
It is correct.
It is correct. How about this one? An honest mailman put an HBO ad in an hourglass-shaped mailbox.
Yes, it's also correct.
Okay, so what's happening here? Because we've got adjectives happy, huge, and homemade that are taking the A article. And down below we have honest, HBO, and hourglass that are taking an adjective. So again, this has to do with the sound that is being made rather than the letter itself. So if I say honest, you are not hearing any sound, as in happy, huge, or homemade. Honest, you don't hear the H. HBO, you don't hear the, it's not HBO. And hourglass, again, you don't hear the H. So it's as if you were putting an in front of a vowel. So let's look at a few other words that start with H, but use the article an. There aren't very many. A few of them are herb, herb, hors d'oeuvres, HIV, heirloom, ombre, and historic. And let me just say a little bit about historic, because let me say it once again. Historic. An historic event. What's going on here? Because you're hearing the H, but you're saying an. This is English. It's just odd. So if you say history, a history lesson, but an historic event. It's one of those little far out things about English. So let's talk a little bit about articles if you're using them with just singular letters or numbers. So if you're using the article a, you would use those with consonants or the vowel U that sounds like a consonant. So A, B, C, D, G, J, K, P, Q, T, all of those. And an example would be a UN resolution will address this dire situation. So a UN resolution. Okay. And when we're dealing with numbers, again, that one sounds with like the W sound. So we're using A with the consonant sounds of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, skipping 8, and so on. So an example is a 20-year-old house is up for sale on our street. And so then just the opposite with an. An is used with the letters A, E, I, O, not U, but also F. It sounds like a vowel. H, L, M, N, S, and X all sound like vowels. So it is an H, and S, and X. For example, an NBC broadcast caught my attention. And then you use an with the numbers that if you wrote them out, start with an E, as in 8, 11, 18, 80, 800, whatever has 8 in it. So an example would be an 80-year-old man won the lottery. If you're feeling overwhelmed by this, don't worry. Again, What we're trying to do is kind of tune your ear, not so much make you memorize all kinds of stuff. So I have a little mini quiz for you. I think I've got it on the poll here. So let's just launch this. So A or an? What kind, if you're saying that you have such and such a degree, would you use a or an in these cases? Give you just a few minutes. Okay, I'm going to end the poll and we'll come to you, Miriam. So if you have the degree, the first degree, what is it?
Associate arts, I think.
You
So
have-
an
Yes.
degree.
Yeah, you have an AA or an AS degree. How about if it's BS?
It's ABS.
ABS, right, because we're dealing with a consonant there. How about GED?
AGED.
Exactly. How about MA?
AMA.
Hear me again. Let me.
And MA. No,
And MA, because M is one of those consonants that sounds, if you just
Yeah.
say M, it sounds like it's a vowel. And how about PhD?
APHD.
Exactly. Okay. Very good. Let us continue. Okay, we're back to the mailman for just a little bit. So, Mr. Potts, the mailman, put the letters in the mailbox. Is this sentence correct, Miriam?
Yes, it is.
It is, yes. And we don't say the Mr. Potts because when we're dealing with proper nouns, for the most part, we do not use an article. So, how about in France, mailmen put letters in mailboxes? Is that
Also
sentence?
correct.
Exactly. So again, France is a proper noun. You can tell proper nouns because they're capitalized. So no proper noun in front of France. How about the mailman put Cheerios in the mailbox? What is Cheerios, by the way? Cheerios, there's a picture of Cheerios. What do you think, Miriam? Is this sentence correct?
I think we can add but it could work.
Yeah, this sentence does work. Yep, because again, we have a proper noun. So we have a person, we have a place, we have a thing. Whether it's a person, place, or thing, if it's a proper noun, it does not take an article. Okay, so how about this sentence, Miriam? The mailman delivered a letter from Miss Smith.
Yeah, it is correct.
Again, proper noun. The mailman delivered the letter from Brazil.
True, it is correct.
Another proper noun of place. So a person, a place. The mailman delivered the letter from Exxon.
Also true.
Yep. How about this? The mailman delivered the letter on Monday.
True.
Yep. Okay, so Monday is also a proper noun. So I think we've got it. Proper nouns, no article. How about the mailman delivered a letter from Philippines?
It's correct.
Actually, that is not correct. There are a few places that take an article. And
From the Philippines.
The Philippines, right. There's other places called like The Hague, the capital of the Netherlands, the United States, the Soviet Union, which doesn't exist anymore, the Crimea, the Bahamas. So the rule here is if it's a collective, like the Philippines is a collection of islands, the United States is a collection of states. It takes a the. So this is just, again, one of those kind of peculiar things about English. There are a few proper nouns, particularly places, that do take a the. How about this one? The mailman delivered a postcard picturing Himalayan mountains. So Himalayan mountains would be a proper place noun. Does it take a the or not? What do you think, Miriam?
Yes, we should add an the because
Yes,
it's plural.
exactly. We should add a the because mountain ranges, whether it's the Pyrenees, the Andes, the Sierra Nevadas, the Black Sea, they do take an article, and it's always the, it's never a. How about the mailman delivered a letter from Pope?
From the.
Yeah, it should have an article from the Pope. So here again, we have a proper noun, which is a person, but we add an article because it is a role. It's not a title, it's kind of a role that Pope Francis plays. If we said the mailman delivered a letter from Pope Francis, we wouldn't need an article, but the mailman delivered a letter from the Pope. We also use it when we're talking about the president, the prime minister, the head of marketing. So if they're in some kind of an official role, it takes an article. Just a few more of these. I know you're probably getting tired of this. The mailman delivered a letter from the King of Saudi Arabia. Correct, Miriam?
Yes, it is correct.
It is. The mailman delivered a letter from the state of Texas.
True.
Let me go back on that and just talk about, okay, so king is not exactly a personal pronoun, and neither is state, but it is a noun of place, a noun of place. So the king of Saudi Arabia, the state of Texas. Oops, wrong way. The mailman delivered a postcard with a picture of the Suez Canal.
Correct.
Again, correct. And the mailman delivered a letter from the police.
Correct also.
Yes, again, what we're dealing with here is the police is a collective. And when you're talking about collective, it does use the definite article. Other examples would be the Millers, for instance, you know, speaking of a family, or the government, or the authorities, or the prisoners, any kind of collective. Oh, this one just got out of place, but one more sentence. The mailmen, plural, deliver letters from the mountains to the prairies to the oceans. That is also correct when you're talking about areas. Others of those might be the Arctic regions, the savannas, the deserts, the jungles, the highlands, the swamps. So places that are indefinite use the definite article. So I just wanted to show you an example of a few collective nouns that do use the. So if I'm getting a letter from the family, the choir, the orchestra, the band, the team, and so on. So just a few examples of what I'm talking about when we're talking about collective nouns. You can also have collective nouns in animals and things, but for the most part, they do not take the definite, they take the indefinite article, like a flock of sheep, a herd of cattle, or a pair of shoes, or a shelf of books. Okay. Now, just a few more things about the definite article. We use the when referring to something which has already been mentioned, like, please give me a banana. I'd like the one with the green stem. So another example, you know, please give me the textbook. I want the one with the red cover. So, and use the when both the speaker and the listener know what's being talked about, even if it hasn't been mentioned before. Examples might be, where is the bathroom? It is on the first floor. Use the article the when referring to places we go for short visits. It's like the mailman delivered an overnight letter to the office. And use it with a superlative noun. That means something that's really great. The mailman delivered a letter on the coldest day of the year. And I like this little cartoon. Here's a fellow who comes to his friend and says, hey, you ever notice that if you take any noun, add the definite article and say it all slow, you can make even funny words sound evil. Check it out. You've got the word muffin, right? So you add the definite article and say it slow and stuff, and you get the muffin. His friend says, go away and take your stupid with you. There's no escape from the muffin. Okay, a few more pieces of information about articles. Books and plays do not take any article, neither the, a, or an. We saw Romeo and Juliet at the theater. We read Dr. Seuss's book, Green Eggs and Ham. Languages do not take an article. We are learning English, but we could be learning German or French or Arabic. In things that you're talking about in general do not take an article, such as sleep is good for you, cigarettes are not. If you are modifying your plural noun, you leave out articles. And it could be the students skipped class, but if you're saying several students skipped class, there's no article. Most shops take credit cards. It could be the shops take credit cards, but if you are adding the adjective most, then you don't have a definite an article. Nouns that have no specific quantity, such as milk and cheese, are in the dairy section of the grocery store. Now, here's the sentence that my husband found problematic and why I'm talking to you so much about articles. In a professional book, published book that he was reading, it said, the sustainable development is difficult to achieve. That is incorrect. It should be sustainable development is difficult to achieve. Why? Because we're not talking, first of all, about any specific thing in terms of development, and we are modifying the noun development with sustainable. So, so no article with sustainable development. And then if a number precedes a noun, you leave out the article, and that's very well illustrated in this little cartoon over here. We have a book or 7 books, an orange or 4 oranges, an ice cream, 2 ice creams, a toy or 3 toys. Last slide. Nouns that do not take an article, continued. Places that we are going to do not take an article, as if he is going to college, she is going to work. No article if we are talking about meals. For instance, they invited some friends to breakfast. And also no articles when you're talking about sports and games. Let's go play tennis, or let's finish the game of badminton. So we're on to quiz number 3, and I think we're past time. Okay, so we're going to end after this quiz. So I'm going to post this and launch it. So you're asked to insert either a, an, the, or nothing into these sentences. So I would like blank egg. Mr. Houston is blank petroleum engineer. I am a visitor in blank United States of America. I like blank dinosaurs. We are going to invite blank Brad to blank breakfast. We waited for him for blank hour. Tom won blank $1 million in the lottery. He will be home blank 1st of June. And my favorite, this is the blank best class ever. Okay, I'll give you 30 seconds to finish that up. We'll go over this with Miriam and we'll call it a day. Okay, I'm going to end the poll and share the results. So, Miriam, what's the correct article in the first sentence?
And, as the majority also got it correct.
I would like an egg, yes, because it's not only a vowel, but it's a vowel sound. Mr. Houston is
Is a petroleum engineer.
a petroleum engineer, exactly. So again, that's a consonant, it takes the A. I am a visitor in
The United States of America.
the United States of America. Again, as we said, there are some of these proper nouns that do take a the, particularly places that are a conglomerate. I like,
We don't need an article in this.
yeah, we do not like. I like dinosaurs is a perfectly good sentence. We could say, I like the dinosaurs if we're referring to something specific, but either sentence is correct. Okay. We are going to invite, how do you finish that sentence, Miriam?
We don't need also any article. in
Right,
this.
no article in front of Brad or breakfast. Again, we've got a proper noun and meals don't take articles. So we are going to invite Brad to breakfast. How about the next sentence, Miriam?
We waited for him for an hour.
An hour. Yes, because hour is one of those words that starts with a consonant, but it sounds like it starts with a vowel. Okay. And how about the next sentence, Miriam?
Tom won $1 million.
Exactly. $1 million, a single A.
He will be home the 1st of June.
The 1st of June, exactly. And the last sentence.
Yes, and the last one, this is the best class ever.
Exactly. Because we're using a superlative, best, and a superlative, the best. Okay, well, thank you to everyone for staying a little late. I'm sorry that we ran over time. I'm going to try to make these only an hour in length. So I appreciate your patience.